Hello, people. I'm on some Minecraft right now, and basically, I read an article, or basically this little web page right here, about medieval structures and how things like advance through time, uh, and how like stone and stuff, like when we think of kingdoms back in the day, how stone sticks out, but it's because like stone and wood are stronger than the materials they were using. So in general, that's just what's left over the years. So I was kind of thinking about this because I've been trying to build like a kingdom and stuff on one of my servers, and really like I had a farmhouse and a barn and stuff, and they were all made out of wood. Um, it was just things like that. Like I had wood structures and stone. Like it was wood and stone was my main building blocks. And I guess inside the towns it was pretty common, but it says they were actually using like clays and like see it talks about lumber right here, very important part of building during milling. Essentially, most of the frames of a house as well as the roof structure was made by wood. Um, it says solely wooden houses were not so commonly used. And then lumber was military structures and introduction of no one starting defense, stuff like that. But then it had like, so you'd have, and then stone and stuff wasn't exactly. It's talking about not being so common as well down here. Hmm, take a sip. I mean, I guess stone could be a pretty good, solidly used item. So I might change like the base of this. So, but it's talking about how if wood was used, unless the occasional rare, like fully wooden building or something, it's mainly just the framework and the roof, maybe some support. Use the military structure. But then up here it was talking about like cob and this is like weaving of some type of plant or something like that, and they put mud or something on it, and there's the frame would be wood. So you have a wooden frame with that stuff in it. And this is some type of house plan. The cob houses were pretty thick, and it's stuff like this. But then straw. This is what got me on Minecraft. I was like, straw might seem like a very lightweight material, and we hardly come across it when it comes to archaeological digs of medieval settlements. The truth is that straw by itself, or as a major component, was used across most houses during the Middle Ages. And here it has like, it looks like a wood or stone floor with some support beams on the side, and then straw. Straw buildings, like houses and barns, were constructed by packing rectangular straw bales and stacking them on top of each other. In most occasions, this structure would have been supported by lightweight wooden frames. The roofs of these houses were also built by using straw and other dry vegetation. These roofs were used across many building types and were commonly known as thatch roofs. The reason you don't find them is the fact that straw is a biodegradable material, blah blah blah, short lifespan. Straw bales provided excellent insulation and were very easy to come by reaping at the end of the summer, and thus made excellent choice for serfs of the land. Sadly, they were also quite flammable, which contributed to short lifespan. Now, after reading this, it's talking about, okay, so you have wood, which is used for frames, support, and roofs on some buildings, and then thatch would be used for the majority of the buildings, probably, the more poor places, and then stone and like more stone and more wood would be more like implemented as you get more and more money, since it's more durable. So thinking about this, like I've been building like a pure wood house for like it was like wood and stone for a farmhouse. And it was a pretty fancy farm, so it had a big wooden barn, a big, wood and stone windmill, and then a wood and stone house. And it looks good. But then after reading this, I was like, okay, so maybe only a couple buildings should be, um, because like the main defenses for your castle would be stone, most likely, and then maybe some supporting or roofs or something for your stone wall would be wood. Your main structures, like the castle, would be stone, and then maybe have some like wood rails or the wood roofing, wood floors, stuff like that. And so if wood is kind of just used for the frames and stuff of these houses, it doesn't make it as hard to build a kingdom like I was gonna build on a Minecraft server. And my thoughts were, because when I was originally building the Minecraft server, uh, or I was on the server, I have to mine all these materials. But if thatch is what the majority of the buildings were used for, and then the wood um, would be for frames and like structural support, this is gonna reduce how much I'm gonna have to take to mine all this stuff. Like gathering all the wood and all that is gonna be a lot harder than just gathering wheat. And that's why I made this house. I was kind of experimenting with house structures because this would be a solid wood house. It'd be, wood frames, wood supports, wood roof, and outside. I was trying to make some a little bit more detail with some wood or something out here, but you could also have stone down here, which would make stone base, wood roof, a little bit of supporting on the edge, and this would be a basic, probably I don't know, middle to upper class type of house going on. And then I was trying to work on something over here, which was just like, but you see, like I was using all wood on these things. All wood. And if wood wasn't really used for anything besides like roofing and supports, like this one could be still used as supports and roofing, but it would be a very fancy supporting roofing house. Like even if I put stone in here, if I like mix this up and put stone in between, with maybe a couple bricks, here and there. Then you'd have the basics of a pretty wealthy-ish type structure, and then if they have, they might even have some wood in here. I don't know. But I'm gonna stick with the basics of stone. Okay, so and then inside that they wouldn't have just wood, because if it was framing and roofs that were mainly wood, then they wouldn't just have wood setting in here unless they're like a medium-ish to rich-sized house, and then so you could have clay, something in here. I mean, that's kind of bright, but you could have clay, pretty much anything else inside there to make it even. But these guys are saying that straw is actually pretty common in normal people's houses. So you'd have a straw outside pretty much, and wheat is not. It doesn't take long to grow. It doesn't take long to harvest. You can make a ton of these blocks with no problem in Minecraft. And then the wood, like you could use the wood roofing still, or you could use normal dills, or you might not have this here. You might have like a wood bottom, and then you could have your and it might not look amazing, but I mean, if that's what it was like in the old times, that's kind of like how I see building would be. And this, you don't have to have. You could probably use some plain wood or something for the bottom of this, if you really want. And it doesn't make it too awfully bad. I mean, it's not going to be extremely fancy, but it's kind of run down. It seems sort of medieval to me. I don't know, these are just my thoughts though, because like this looks pretty good. And you have your little fence in it. If you replace it with this, I mean, it's a little bit brighter, and it might not look as amazing. So, I made this house over here, which I was trying to make look sort of medievalish. This top part is like an upper floor with a window, and then I use like fences to like support kind of an arched down roof, to give it the slope, because I didn't want to use big logs, even though these are underneath here, because these are lighter weight, and this is a lighter weight material, so I'm figuring lighter weight on it would be a lot better. And then the only stone thing I have on this is the fireplace, and I like having the netherrack in the top because of smoke. So really the fireplace is the only stone thing here. And other than that, instead of just using like fences, this fence post to go all the way up to here to support this whole roof section, my thoughts were, this is a much lighter material. So having this, it already has the support on the back, but it's probably, these are lashed together with like ropes or something. And this would just kind of be holding up on one center point on here. So I attached another thick log on the end of this. That would be attached to the main beam and then supported by the small beam to give a much larger surface area to help hold up the edge of the thatch. That was my thought on this. You could put like some pots or something with plants out here, make it more lively. That's a possibility. But I did that, and I had this all over. I have 3 window things at the top, and this was like a place to chop wood, and this is like stored wood for the winter. And I think it's not super fancy, but it's not horrible either. It's a pretty big house. Considering they probably had smaller houses back in the day. They probably had houses that were like, something like this. Like, they probably had the bare minimums in their houses back in the day. Like, maybe go one more on this. And then because like if this is a poor house, times are gonna be rough. Okay, but it would probably be something like this. And you'd have you know, something going on like this. If at all. I mean, it would probably be, you know, little bitty houses like this going on with some wood supports. Possibly. I don't know how the people are gonna build back in those days. But I'm sure it's gonna be something similar to whatever I'm doing right now. And if they used wood frameworks, it would probably be like something like this. I mean, this is just kind of general idea. It's not by any means a fancy house. Okay. And if they didn't like, and they could have the classic double stacked house where it's, I mean, this house is the front side, but they could have like the classic little double stacked house thing going on where they have if they did this and they had their bottom floor, how most of those other houses are, and then I could do something like this. That would be the bottom level, and then you'd have the next level on top. These are the little overstacked houses that they have back in the old days. And then you maybe like support that with the beams. Something going on. If they're using them for supports anyway. And I'm not really trying to do anything crazy here, but let's say they had stone. Okay, whatever. So they had a little bit of stone, and they had enough materials to make some stone stuff. Okay, so and this is a very symmetrical house. So they do whatever. They get their stuff. They get all of this good. Put a spruce door. You know, it's all fine and dandy. And then the second floor, I don't think they would probably use as much stone, but I don't know. But you've seen those, like, the pictures of the houses that come over the edge like this. How medieval houses, or a lot of them did, or whatever, and they would have a roof on top. And the straw roofs might not even be used on buildings like this, honestly. You know, because they're kind of, you know, they don't, like, wood will look better, but it's more just because it's like it's uniform compared to the straw, and the fact that it is straw. The bottom level kind of looks alright. You know, the houses are probably something similar. I could feel it like being like this, but it's still pretty sturdy. It's gonna have the sturdy frame up top, and then it's braced on here. It's braced in the corner, so it'll have more stability. And the cheaper materials are at the bottom, but I don't think it doesn't look too bad. But as for bracing this roof, that's gonna be somewhat difficult. Unless you run it all the way down, but then it's this. And that made it super blocky. Not exactly positive how you would support the roof. You probably just have to make it kind of a upside down V with less support. That'll be a bit, but this I don't think it looks too bad. It has all this stuff, has floors. You know, you go inside, and I put all of the braces on the inside up here too, on these little things to give the roof more support, since I kind of made the roof out of the thatch as well, and it has a central supporting column that'll keep this braced. And then I made, you know, a little stairway to get up here, and it's I think a decent house. It's not super fancy, and that's the same type of thing I think they would have gone. They probably wouldn't even have this second floor though in the old days. It'd just be a tiny house with some thatch. But I think this is a pretty nice little thatch house, and I put a couple like things at the bottom here, which, you know, I guess you could, since they said that the that stone is kind of used or whatever, you could replace this with some of that. That does kind of give it a little bit more flair. But I just figured, you know, thatch houses, if they were a thing back in the day and most of the houses were made out of thatch or clay and stuff, that's what I'm going to say. Lower class houses, thatch and clay and things. Medium class, maybe stone and wood with some thatch roofs, or you know, something along those lines. And then like high upper class would be stone, and probably like more uniform type stone. Like the medium class would probably have mixtures of cobble and normal stone, uh, or cobble and brick or something, and mixtures of wood. And then the higher class would have kind of uniform stone structure, like all cobble or all stone. You know, like, since this one was like a lower class, it would probably have like, you know, mixed matched pieces, or maybe some wood in there instead of stone. I mean, you know, just something that's kind of gonna stick out. It doesn't look so fancy, but, you know, it is a cheap house. The main thing was just the kingdom. If I was gonna make like a village or something, I could easily get the wheat for this, because this big building, I mean, it's a decent sized house. It's not too bad, honestly. It got a little room in here, and it got the upper stairs, and it's mainly just, you know, probably a stack. I mean, probably one or two stacks of wood, like the base wood for the supports, and then maybe a stack or so of cobble. And then, you know, this has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Probably, you know, a stack or so of fence. And then just wheat. And if you have a big enough wheat field, that would be no problem. So, I mean, compared to my other builds that I make, where I have to use, like, tons of, like, wood I'm talking, I could be using like double chests full of wood to be making some of these buildings. You know, to dress them up, make them look nice. Uh, these buildings, they would look pretty good, but they wouldn't be super fancy. And they'd only cost you like 3 or 4 stacks of a material. Compared to some of the other houses I made. Because I have a wood house, the wood farmhouse that I made on my server. That thing, it probably took 8 to 10 stacks of base wood. And then the barn probably took like 15 stacks of wood or more. I feel like building a bunch of these in a kingdom, at least in like a section of the kingdom, like make the majority of them like this, and then maybe some wood, and then some stone, and some a mixture of like between and such, would not only help you build a kingdom faster, but it'd probably make it more realistic. As far as from what I've read, it'd make it more realistic. And then it would probably make your other builds look better, I would assume as well, because if you have a whole bunch of things like this with hay, like you have these hay buildings all over the place, okay? When they see that wood, like say if you're building on a street, you build, you know, three or four of these, and then you can build one fancier wood type structure. They're gonna see these buildings and be like, oh, those are kind of cool, and but they're gonna be kind of generic, as you see. They're gonna be like a fancy type of generic building where you know, it's like, oh, that's nice, but it's also like, hey. And then they're gonna see that wood building and be like, oh man, I love the detail on this building. It looks amazing. And you know, kind of like the ugly duckling effect. I don't know. This is what I'm just going by the tip of my head right now, but I also never see people use chimneys like this, which I don't understand because I like using chimneys to actually have smoke, but you know, these houses are saying they're fire hazards and you know, all kinds of stuff on here. Base materials used for both the product must be used several materials for their construction, but finalized structure was defined by the material mostly used. In addition, that there was not many periods of human history that were in such a gap between the rich and the poor, and this difference is clearly demonstrated in the types of buildings that inhabited or used. See, so like straw and stuff, be poor people. You know, I think I broke it down pretty good. And see this, I don't know what it is, wattle and dub. So woven wooden strips with a sticky material. So that, you know, you might be able to use clay for this. Have a wood frame with clay for another type of house. So you could have straw houses, clay houses, and so these are straw. They'd have timber frames, thatch roof, and clay. It was made mixing clay-based subsoil with sand, straw, and use water into oxygen. Press according to time. Walls of cartridge. 20 inches thick, windows were correspondingly deep set, giving the homes a characteristic internal appearance. The thick walls. Materials, long lifespan. Shrug perm. Curvy walls. Oh, I have a pencil somewhere. See, so this is kind of what I'm breaking it down to as I'm reading this stuff. And it's starting things off as so low class. Thatch and wood, maybe stone, a little bit. Next would be clay and wood, and possibly a little stone. And thatch roofs. This material, I don't know what it... Found... English cob was made by mixing the clay-based subsoil with sand, straw, and water. The earthen mixture was then laden onto a stone foundation in courses and trotted onto the wall by workers. It kind of makes me think of cobblestone. Buildings made of cob did not make use of timber frames, but timber was mostly used in order to shape doorways and windows. Okay. Or internal passage. Okay, so I'm gonna say let's go with cobblestone on that. So cobblestone with wood doors, windows, and walkways. That would be the third tier going on. The roofs, in most cases, thatched, in some occasions made of timber or even clay. Okay, so thatch or wood roofs. And that's the third tier of building, which would probably be fancier buildings, maybe bakeries or other type of businesses. Because if poor people are probably farmers and labor hands and stuff, so they're gonna have thatch houses, and then maybe the more rich farmers or decent labor hands get the thatch roofs with the clay and the wood houses, like a little bit, and then the wood house would probably be mixtures if you do that, and the clay would probably be somewhat mixed as well. And the cobblestone would be more upper end, like mills, bakeries, blacksmiths, things that need to be fire retardant and probably make decent money. Some stables, perhaps, mix between different types of stables, like a high end and a low end stable. Essentially, most of the framing houses. Lumber was used in military structures before induction of the stone defense. Log cabins and structures like halls since the Bronze Age. Okay, so there's log cabins. Probably sparsely. Probably if you're like build something out in the middle of nowhere, maybe a log cabin or something. If they have trees. Clay and brick. I was also saying that wood is used in important infrastructure like bridges. So I'm gonna say um, vital or main travel ways. Um, like or bridges would be stone. And then anything that's kind of off the beaten path or down a separate area, not as traveled as often, would probably be wood. I would assume, and the stone would probably have some wood decoration. Could be nice. Like even on stone walls, you can have a little bit of wood, but the main bulk of the wall should probably just be stone. Wood would probably be decorative rail, like on the back side of the wall, or maybe staircases up to the top, if you really wanted to, or just like the roofing for a tower, or overhead for the wall. Clay was an important component of dab as well as cob, and it's widely used for pottery. Okay, so it's talking about clay bricks. Could be useful. It's using slate to make fancy house, like richer people's houses, shingles, which would probably be something like using slabs in Minecraft. Okay, this is just a lime mortar's like a decorative thing. Okay, so here's stone. A variety of purposes due to its sturdy nature, stone is excellent building material for structures that were meant to inspire awe and last in time. In some cases, their capability of taking a significant pounding was also quite important. Bridges, cathedrals, castles, and manors all used masonry as their main structural component. Um, of course, all of those buildings also made extensive use of lumber, but in most of them, even the frame was made of stone. So this is telling me uh, key, like important bridges, like I said before, and then castles, manors, and such. Okay, they're all stone. Okay, let's say they're not all stone, but let's say frames and mainly stone. Like they probably have like wood decorations inside, maybe some like wood fence. I would assume. So we could use like wood or cobblestone fence probably in the game. But we could have like some wood fence, some the doors would be wood. Maybe lighting could be wood inside. The floor, possibly the upper levels could be wood with stone bases or something. I don't know, but this is basically talking like the way I'm seeing is just like the actual frame for the structure would be stone, and the actual building would probably be stone as well, and most of the bulk of the support in the frame would probably be stone, and then any wood would probably just support uh, internal things in the building, like a secondary support for the upper floor, or secondary support for a balcony or something. I'm assuming. And probably the higher grade the building would have more stone. And say you're like living in like a poor castle, it would probably like okay, a high end castle would probably be more stone bricks in Minecraft, and the lower ends would probably start leaning towards so it'd be stone brick, some wood, glass, stuff like that would be the top end, and then the lower end as you go down, it'll start turning into like uh, cobblestone, but more wood involved as well. Like so, if you're in a fancy castle and you have stone brick, um, you can say stone brick's going to be 99% of that castle. It's going to be more bland in terms of like decor in the game. But as you go down in the ranks a little bit, maybe they have because the better castle is probably thicker. You could have multiple layers, maybe some outside castle damage or something to add to the strength that is that castle or the uniformity. Um, Bigger towers and stuff would be good as well. And then, but that's just going to be the main building. You can easily put wooden overhangs and stuff like roofing, uh, balcony walkways and things onto a giant fancy castle and add that wood, but the bulk of the stone is probably going to be stone brick. Um, but as you go down, it's going to be more towards cobble. It'll probably be the base of the structure will be cobble, and then the more support oriented areas will be stone brick, probably in the terms of like a medium-ish sort of castle area, and it might even have more wood support as well. So it might be a mixture of like wood, stone brick, and cobble supports and things going on. And a low-end castle is probably just going to be uh, probably just cobblestone and wood supports. So okay, so the low end you'll have like your frame would be wood, and then you'd have cobble kind of take over the main portion of the building. Like the outside structural walls would be cobble, and then you'd have the wood supports, and then the insides would probably be mainly wood. As you go up, you would have more stone brick, maybe stone brick for the frames, uh, less wood in total, but you'd probably still have quite a bit of wood on the interior or outside decorations. Uh, Less wood supports, though, to give it more stability. And the big ones would have, stone brick supports, stone brick outside, pretty much, and some wood decorations, or maybe just more stone on the inside. Maybe you could use cobblestone for the decoration on the inside instead of wood. Could be another thing. If the base of your structure is uh, stone brick high end, then cobblestone could be used as a decorative piece, or flooring, something like that. Maybe a mixture of cobblestone and wood. But this is just some idea of what's going on. Just looking over the stuff. They didn't really use granite and marble that much. Um, some people use other stuff. I'm kind of wondering what this other page was. Difference between medieval buildings depending on their usage. Private buildings mostly consist of several types of housing, ranging from wattle and dab hut to glorious stone villas. Private homes can vary widely, but due to the amount of people normally served by them, the maintenance cost remains fairly low. The construction time and cost of these buildings are primarily defined by their size and the materials that they are built from. Okay, see, these are like personal houses. Okay, so personal houses, that's gonna be varied on your income, like with the thatch and the cobble and such that I was talking about before. Some wood houses, clay houses with thatch roofs and things. Public buildings, structures like baths, parks, halls, gardens, market squares, piers, granaries. Public buildings are built for endurance, so they qualify. The quality of materials that are constructed tend to be much higher than the average private building. In addition to that, these buildings are made to serve a large amount of people, possibly every day, which means that constructing the building in a way that the maintenance cost will be low is paramount. So, public buildings are built to last, and that's why castle walls and stuff would be built mainly out of stone and stuff as well. Um, so I'm gonna say like public buildings. granaries, parks, halls, baths, gardens, market squares. Okay, built to last. I don't know why, like, it says granary. Like, I guess it's just talking about storage. Just in general. Business buildings include shops, warehouses, service buildings like inns, stables, etc. Comes to construction, in many ways, these buildings are considered to be very close to public buildings, with the difference that they are privately owned, and as that, their quality varies depending on the available assets of the owner. Tradesmen might sell jewels, maybe to be well protected with a stone structure that will be for criminals to steal his wares, but a cabbage farmer only needs a wooden stool in a market square. Okay, so businesses vary on wealth. So basically, if you're gonna build a business in your kingdom, you might even build a couple of them instead of just one for competition, but make one like more high end and one kind of run down. If they're like farmers or something, one of them can use maybe a wood type house structure. It's mainly wood with maybe a thatch roof or something, and the other one could use like some cobblestone with a wood roof, which could be quite interesting. And then anything like bakeries and stuff, they're gonna need protection against fire. So like a low-end bakery or a low-end blacksmith or something will probably have more cobblestone, uh, maybe a couple of unrefined blocks laying about like Doriite or something on Minecraft. And then the more higher end will probably have more solid stone brick. And the low end one will probably have more thatch. If it's like cobblestone and thatch, maybe. And the higher end one would be like wood, wood roofs. Industrial manufacturing, including forge mills, bakeries, workshops, smithies. Okay, so hold up. Okay, so these are like merchants. So they mainly have stone. Stone or wood for merchants. Okay, so bills, workers, blah, carpenters, masons. These buildings process or possess special features which raise their costs and needs to be in general more sturdy than a shop in order to accommodate their needs. For example, mills need to have a reinforced structure in order to be able to support the weight of the water mill or of the cells of a windmill. And a mason's workshop uses much sturdier wood in order to frame the structure, since moving and storing slabs of stone can be strenuous to a building. Okay. So like windmills and stuff, they're probably going to need to be thicker. Thicker on the bases and have more support beams than normal, especially around the bottom. I actually built a windmill sort of like that on the server. Mason's workshop though. If it's talking about sturdier woods, in Minecraft, I'm gonna say normal houses for frames are gonna have like one stack wood, like one block stacks of wood. And industrial manufacturing, they might have bigger all around wood, like two right next to each other. Or you could do like wood columns instead of just a regular wood beam. Could be good as well. Like your houses and stuff could have like a regular wood beam. And then the manufacturing could have like a wood beam with the stairs on the edges to give it more support. I'm gonna write all this stuff down. Build support what? Okay, more support. This pen is dying on me. Okay, military buildings. Almost in their entirety are built primarily from stone, and most of them actually use various techniques to reinforce the walls of their buildings in order to make them less acceptable to attacks. Having said that, wooden military buildings do exist, but even those are reinforced one way or another. Knowing that damage to them is imminent, the ability to be repaired quickly and effectively is quite important. This means that due to their modular design, military buildings not only take much longer time due to their construction materials, but are extremely intricate in their Spartan simplicity to build. Okay, so I'm gonna say higher end military buildings are stone. And then lower end military are going to be more wood, etc. And the way I'm thinking about this is higher end to be like a castle or the main army, the walls for the kingdom. If it's a rich, powerful kingdom, it's going to be stone. If it's talking about a police force or a not so powerful kingdom, they're probably going to have more wood. Maybe a wood wall around their city. They need to inspire all their visitors and interact with the divine. Okay, so religious buildings are really fancy and have to look really good with a bunch of designs, is what it's saying. Huh. I don't know. I think it's pretty good though. It gives quite a bit of information if I want to build a kingdom. Um, I would say though that I think back in the day people were kind of separated terms of class. So probably to the outside of the kingdom, you would have the thatch roofs and thatch buildings and stuff, thatch, clay, and some wood as you go in. It'd be thatch buildings and roofs would be on the very edge, and as you come in, you'd have uh, more clay, with thatch roofs, and then as you go in farther, it'd be uh, more wood with maybe some wooden roofs or thatch roofs, and then you'd start approaching the stone and wood, and then you'd have the big stuff. So it'd be like, okay, thatch, clay, wood, stone. In terms of building wise, like if you're doing like a circular pattern or just like patches, like if you have a village that's outside the castle walls, it'd be more thatch and stuff. Maybe one or two wood buildings or stone buildings. For like a blacksmith, it'd be more stone. City hall or something would probably be wood. Personal buildings would probably be thatch, etc. And as you go in closer, you could have higher grades because a small village out in the middle of nowhere, the blacksmith probably isn't going to have as much uh, money and materials to be having a fancy station with like stone brick and stuff. So it's going to be more cobble and maybe even a thatch roof. If we're going to be honest here. And then as you get closer to the city, or maybe inside the main city, the blacksmith is probably going to be more and more stone based. So like an outside village, it'd be like a little bit of cobble, mainly for the fireplace and stuff, the furnace for it, and probably some wood. You'd have some wood structure since it's more of an industrial building. It needs to be sturdier, so you'd have some wood braces or something on it, or maybe it just be out in the open where you just have like a furnace, like a cobblestone furnace, and then like a couple of wood beams and some thatch going over the top of it, you know, and an anvil. That might be out there in the village, and then as you get closer, you have a town, and the town will have uh, the furnace and some cobblestone walls, like or maybe cobblestone base, or a little bit more stability, but more wood. So instead of like just having a little canopy to sit under in the village, you're gonna actually have a building with like wood and a thatch roof or uh, wooden roof and wood sides or something. And then if you get to the big city, like in the middle of the kingdom, they're probably gonna have probably a close to solid stone type building, maybe a little bit of wood. But I mean, that's quite a few notes on here for me. And that'll help me build my kingdom. I'm hoping, breaking this down and you reading this stuff kind of makes y'all's kingdom a little bit better. Because this would probably be, I mean, honestly, this would probably be a sort of peasant house, but like a rich peasant house. Like, if this would be like a base house for somebody, this would have to be like out in a village, but it'd probably be one of the richer people in the village. Or you could just make this the base house and make your other houses fancier than this one. It just depends on how you want. This is probably going to be a sort of medium-ish class, either village house or lower class townhouse. And then inside the kingdom, you might have one or two of these, maybe. I don't know. But I hope this helped. If you're trying to make a kingdom and you want to make it more realistic, I mean, I've read quite a bit. It doesn't really. I was looking mainly for building schematics, like how they actually built the stuff, but these little articles help quite a bit as well. So I'm perfectly fine with this, and hopefully this helps somebody make their kingdom. And I would love to see what you make if you wanted to share it. So thanks for watching.